Hello folks, Rob Appell here. Welcome to another tutorial where we're working outside, camping and quilting, working on Charisma Horton's Summer Camp block. Of course, today we are doing the tent block. It's going to be awesome. I've got all the instructions you need in a beautiful location. So are you ready? Let's get stitching. Well, welcome back everybody to another outdoor quilting tutorial. That's right, I am your host, Rob Appell, right here at Sowell. Sorry, it's a little chilly to be wearing the complete uniform, but at least I was able to lose the puff jacket. Now, I am stationed at Blue Nickel Studios. That's right, I'm at my friend Scott Hansen's home. I'm gonna be staying here for a few days, so you can see I'm already actually setting up real camp this time. I won't be having to travel every day as I continue to make this project for us all. So we're gonna focus on the tent block today. I thought it would be perfect. Put out the wonderful colors and start building our patchwork tents from the Summer Camp Quilt project from Charisma Horton. Now you're going to need 6 of these, and you're going to use a variety of your colors, your pinks, your purples, your reds, your light blues. I think that's the rundown. Basically, you can see I've actually made all 6, but I want to walk you through the process of how you will make your own as well. Now, you'll need the pattern or the pattern and with the kit. Those are available in the link below, and I'm also under the impression Charisma may have digital downloads, and that's something I want to talk about as we move real quickly into the pattern. So at any rate, the instructions on page 2 will cover the TENTS unit. I've been making some notes for myself while I was getting ready to camp and quilt along the road here. What I want to point out, folks, is your templates are included with your pattern, but it's a large piece, so you're going to have these red lines that you're going to need to basically match up. And what I did is I matched them up and then I traced them so I can use these over and over again. So I've made my summer camp template pieces, as you can see here, as I was preparing. But the most important part, so that your blocks, this is patchwork, not applique, so you can't cheat, right? You need to make sure that you do your 1-inch square test. So when you print these out of a printer, if you are doing a digital download, now if you bought the pattern printed already or with the kit, of course you don't have to worry about this. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a nice square on a ruler, lay it right on top, and make sure that your 1-inch marker is the same on your pattern as a true 1-inch. That means everything is accurate in the proportions for you, and you can use these templates for your patchwork. Notice the dotted line for the 1/4-inch seam allowance. That was what I actually traced in for everything we needed. Okay, if that works there, hopefully that'll make great sense as we dive right in. Like I said, we're using the Shadow Blush. This is a wonderful basic from Ben Artex. I absolutely love this because it looks like solid, but it's got just a little bit of modeling. So once the quilting hits this quilt, which by the way, we're gonna take the entire quilt that we're making along the road, and if all goes well, we'll end up at Charisma's home at the end of this video series with the quilt top, and she'll help us quilt it together, which I think will be amazing. But I've got a few more blocks to create before we get there. So like I said, we're having a good time out here in nature and getting ready for this wonderful tent block. Now folks, you can see already I've cut out the blue or the background fabric colors of the units that I need here to create, right? So that's just the exact same size, and I even tried to honor these little corners because Charisma has those built in for alignment. That really helps things as you're moving along, okay? And then what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to go ahead and cut our other template shapes here. And let me just verify real quick. The black here is the center of our tent block. Let me show you that again. Okay, so you've got your black. There's 2 pieces of black, 2 pieces from your tent body, the rain fly, the orange, right? And then 2 pieces for your background per block unit that you're making. And of course, if any of this doesn't go perfect, if you're on Team Rob, a little bit less than always accurate, you can always trim these down. We're gonna be finishing at 12.5 inches square today, folks. So one of the things I like to do, did I let my template blow away? It did. Did you see that happen? I'll be right back. Halfway across the yard already. I think that so far I've learned the biggest challenge is actually not been, well, the lighting's tricky because the shadows will move in and out after I already get set up, but really it's the wind. Man, I'll tell you, being out here in the wind is really tricky because things will blow around and sometimes the audio and the microphones can be tough. So I don't know if you can hear the wind chimes in the background. Wind is high up in the trees today, but we're low in a valley and it's really working out well. So anyways, what I want to show you here is as I've been cutting, the last piece I cut was right here from this section so that I'm able to use the fabrics over and over again efficiently. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up, but because I've made myself a paper, or even if it was cardboard or cardstock or something like that, I don't want to trust the paper. I could cut through the template accidentally, I could cut through my finger accidentally. So I'm just going to grab a ruler like yay, and every cut that I make, I'm just going to protect the fabric, my hand, and the template by using a ruler right on top. So the white paper is really just my guideline as I continue to process out these little pieces that we need made. So that's the trick I wanted to show you. Now I will cheat a little bit. If I get down to something like that little corner where I just have to lay my rotary cutter on it, like that, I will. But even up here in this top piece where things could move around and I really want that accurate, take the time, and you might even want to put a straight pin or something in there if you're fighting a little bit of wind as well. But that doesn't sound right. Here, and now I can just go ahead and nibble away at that tip by pressing down on the rotary cutter, just like that. Okay, so there's our black pieces. I should have pointed out, I apologize, we're using solids, folks, and because we're using solids, I was cutting my strips with them wrong sides together, or two right sides out, so that you can see now we've actually been able to make two cuts opposite triangles, okay? But we're not going to start by sewing the center. The center is the last seam we make. We're going to build out as we go. So now I need to put on the tent on the outside of the tent door. So we're just going to set those aside for a moment, and then just to show you again here, what I want to do is I've already pre-cut the template piece itself, but just showing you that you can lay your cutter on there and just cut those tips off, but you definitely want to make sure you get those tips cut off. And remember, even these, all of our units are going to be two wrong sides together. So you're doubling up your units or doubling up your cuts, but you're not getting the same direction. You're getting opposite directions for your patchwork. Now, if this was a directional fabric you were using, that's going to be even more challenging, and I'm going to leave you on your own for that one today. That's why I use solids. Oh boy, did I just chicken out or what? That's terrible. All right, folks, so now I've got all three of my units cut. I've got the tent, I've got the doors, I've got the outsides, right? And so now we're just going to go ahead and begin stitching these together. This is how it's going to form out at the end. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll join that center seam. So I'm going to start with our small piece here, and I'm going to flip it over, and you'll notice how the bottom corner lines up like that, and then we're just going to do a nice 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way through here. Do be careful, you're slightly on the bias, folks, so things could be stretching, so just let your machine do all the work for you. Okay, folks, and now I'm just going to go ahead and press into the smaller piece with each stitching that I'm doing. Laying that over. Very simple construction on this block. Okay, and then remember, we had this one on the other side. I left it out to mark ourselves, so we're just going to flip that again. It's kind of a long looking run. Match up your corners, and you'll be ready, set to go. And when I say match up your corners, I guess I should be a little more clear, folks. Shift this up so that line straightens out, okay? So my fabrics are still right sides together, but this line is now running on the outside of that line, and that looks really crisp, and that's gonna give us a really nice accurate start point for just the rest of a basic 1/4 inch seam allowance. But both of these pieces are now on the bias, and it's a long stitch. So just take your time again. Don't get carried away. Let that machine do the work for you. Okay, and then again, you're kind of sewing out this tip and it's gonna look the same. My goodness, I'm feeling disorganized. I've lost the scissors again this morning. Okay, right? So just like yay, and now go ahead and take a moment and press that over and then do the exact same thing for the other side so that you have two halves of your tent to assemble up that middle seam. And I'll be right back and show you how to do that. Ooh, that one looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Okay, and again, folks, just pressing to that larger piece each time, it just seems to make everything easy and push the seams out to the corners so that you'll now have two halves to your tent unit, okay? So then now you're gonna wanna try to match up the little door pieces as best as possible, not worrying so much about the bottom, but maybe the top there. And you may want to set a pin or two. You could just look at that. You could eyeball it, however it feels right. And I'm just going to go ahead and match up those top seams and head in for a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. And I'm just going to take it good and slow. I can feel there's a good amount of stretch here. And just let everything kind of just move its way through. But as I do, I'm going to try, because I have that stretch to my advantage, just to marry up the top of the tent door, the black pieces, so that when I get there, those pieces match, maybe even a little bit better than the block I showed you before. Watch, you all go back and rewind to see how bad that tip was. Notice I didn't point it out then. All right, so here we go, real nice. And just as a reminder, as we're pulling this off of the machine, the real key was just making sure that you had your, if you did a digital download, that is, you have the 1 inch mark accurate so that your proportions for your template pieces are accurate so they fit right back together. Beautiful, like that did, to create your tent block for the Summer Camp Quilt. Now, I don't remember if I mentioned it at the beginning of this video, but the full quilt finishes out at 60 by 72 inches, so it's the perfect snuggling quilt, perfect quilt for the back of your Sequoia for camping, or of course, putting in your tent for those long-term adventures where you and your family get outside and really get to enjoy nature. Thanks again, folks, for following along on this awesome, awesome quilting adventure. We've got several more blocks to come. I'm doing them in the order that the pattern is written, but not in the order of my travel, just due to where I found perfect scenes to put up the theme of each block. So I hope you're enjoying that as well. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking of this outdoor quilting series. I hope you're loving it so we can do more and more. But again, I just really appreciate you being here, supporting me, following along with all of my wild and crazy adventures in studio or outdoors. And until I see you next time, folks, stay well. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.